6 women came to my first course. I just taught 2 weekends, well, 7 days in total. And it just felt like if I had done this for ages. I just felt so comfortable, so relaxed, so I cannot even describe it. I was like, I can do more of this, because it just felt so good. The women were so happy. And yeah, it was just a very, very beautiful experience.
I am so honored to introduce you to this week's guest. So as you know, I've been bringing my clients and or some of the members of the membership onto the show to share their business birth story. I feel like this is incredibly inspiring for entrepreneurs, no matter what industry you're in, just to hear kind of how we got started and how people got to the point where they are today, right? And so this week you're going to meet Bridget. Bridget and I have been working together since late 2019, early 2020. And by the time we met, she had already been in the birth industry for more than a decade. And she was desiring to do some different things in business and do her business a little bit differently, right? So when we started working together, she started with, if I remember correctly, one of my free workshops, and then moved into a self-paced course that I was offering at the time, and then moved into my Doulas in Business Mastermind, which no longer runs. But at the time, I was running the Doulas in Business Mastermind. She moved into that and then moved into being a private client. So she had this very natural, organic progression of working together. And I also feel like, as you'll hear in her story, when she shares, her business has very much been a natural, organic progression. And it's such a gift for me to be able to witness people walking in their purpose and walking and moving forward on their path, and just having the blessing to be a part of it and to be able to witness them is just, it's such an honor, and I don't take it lightly. Bridget is a powerhouse, and she is making a movement in Europe with doulas. She started as a birth doula, now trains doulas, and has, if you're anywhere in Europe, you've heard of Bridget. She is like the person in Germany, Spain, training doulas. And that's not how it started. You're going to hear she's been in this industry since 2006 when she was attending births. And yeah, I just think that it's very inspiring. And some of her stories about like her early days of marketing, it's such great examples of the kind of marketing that I believe we're moving into in this world. But I digress. Without further ado, I introduce you to Bridget Michael. She is the founder of Deu Doulas, and they are in Germany and in Spain. And I'll share links to where you can connect with her on social media in the show notes. Welcome back. So this week, I am really excited to introduce you to one of my clients that we've been working together since 2020. And we have gone through quite a lot together. We've had a beautiful experience for a few years now, and this is Bridget Michael, and she lives now in Spain. And when we first met, you were living in Germany. Anyhow, I would love to hear, which I know, but I would love for you to share your business birth story. How did you get started on all the things, and what was the progression of where you started to where you are now?
I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much for your invitation, Nichole. I've listened to so many of your podcast episodes, so it's a great joy for me to be here. Well, I'm a mother of 2 teenagers. I live in a patchwork family, so there is another teenager that came into my life. I'm with my husband, and my son is 18. He was a home birth in Spain. I was living in Spain at that time, and I got introduced into the doula world after his birth, actually. My son was born at home, and I was a yoga teacher. I don't teach anymore. So, I was introduced into this yogic way of preparing for my son's birth, right? It was a beautiful home birth. I was very blessed. He was very blessed. We were very blessed. So it could really happen at home with a Catalan midwife. And yes, so afterwards I met a doula. My son was a couple of months old on a playground, just on a very crowded road. Barcelona, you told me you've visited Barcelona on the Paseo San Juan. On the right, you had like 2 lanes going up, 2 lanes coming down. And there was this lady, her daughter was wearing this necklace. It's like yellowish gemstones that you can
Amber?
wear. Yes, amber, right. Yes, thank you. And it helps the children to have less pain when the teeth come out. So her daughter was wearing this necklace. My son was wearing the necklace. And it was, we were like, okay, on the same wave here. So we talked to each other, and she was a doula. I never had heard about that before, although being in this very conscious field of yoga and home birth and stuff, I never heard about this figure, this beautiful role, let's say. So when she told me what she was doing, it was like, I want to do exactly that. Was my missing piece somehow. I met one of the trainers from Deu Doulas at that time, one of the only groups in Barcelona in 2004. And she lived in the same village because we moved out of Barcelona. So she introduced me to Nichole. Maybe you know him. He's a very known birth keeper from France. And I didn't know who he was. So that was kind of where my journey started. I did the training with Deu Doulas. We came back to Germany, and there were hardly any doulas because the midwives just did a very, very good job. They cared about the pregnant women during pregnancy, during labor, and afterwards in postpartum. They come to your house. But the situation has changed quite a bit here because of all the insurances and stuff. The insurances for the midwives just increased very, very importantly. So there are a lot of them who had to quit, actually. And I was the first doula in Düsseldorf, maybe one of 10 or 20 that started in 2007 in Germany. And it's been quite a time and a lot of experiences and meeting beautiful people that invited me to this so transformative time of birth. Yeah, so this had been like a little review of how I started to become and work as a doula. Mm-hmm. And then we met.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you were still doing some births when we met, and yoga, right?
Yes, I did. Yeah, absolutely. And that was in 2019. One of my clients called me and she was like, I have this friend and she really wants to do this training, but she was not accepted because she is still a flight attendee, stewardess. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So they were like, how do you want to support women when you have your flight schedules as well? So she was super, super disappointed and so sad and called me. And my husband was like, I talked to her. My husband was like, could you train her? And I was like, sure, but I have to really feel if I want to do it because it's like a huge responsibility. At least I feel it that way. And then, I took some time. I asked her if she wanted to come to Spain for a week and work with me. And she said yes. And we had a beautiful time. I gathered all the beautiful information and experiences that I had so far, put it in a very compact program because I still wanted to support women, right? So I couldn't offer a year program or monthly programs because I wanted to be on call as well for birth. So that's how I started, and it's still like this, but they are more, or we designed, let's say, more different forms of the training now. Actually, most of my clients are German speakers, of course, because I train in German, but they are women kind of like me that are living abroad. I mean, there are a lot of women in Germany, but there are more and more as well German speakers who live wherever on this planet and who would like to support women during that time because there are so many different birth cultures. I mean, it is as it is in the US, and every country has its specialties, right? Or forms, let's say, of supporting more or less.
Mm-hmm. And this was your transition to another chapter. So you had yoga in the early, and that kind of led you to the next chapter, which was supporting at births. And you were at a lot of births when I met you. You were still going to quite a bit. And then this was like your first transition. I didn't know this story in completion with your first trainee, the first doula that you mentored and taught. I know around the time we met, you had a couple times a year with those week-long trainings where mostly, I guess, German-speaking doulas to be would come and meet you either in Germany or in Spain to learn from you. And so this was the next chapter.
Yes, absolutely. So when Corona started in 2020, I just had this vision to bring some women, once a year, maybe twice a year to Spain. And, we have this beautiful old farmhouse. So I was like, twice a year for a week, that's enough. I don't need more. And then the situation came up and I was like, okay, so no traveling. Okay, well then I will just have to offer it in Germany. I never thought about offering something in Germany because, I don't know, it was just not I love Spain. I have another energy when I'm Spain. have another energy when I speak English. So I'm half French. So I love to speak other languages. I love to be in other places, right? Because I feel different. So that was not possible. And I was like, okay, never mind. Well, then I will just find a place where I can teach in Germany. And I don't even know how the women found me, Nichole, because I was not visible at all. So, I love God. I love the goddess. I love the universe. I know that I have a mission. But it has taken, some time and some courage and a lot of work with you as well to be so easily, do you say foundable, visible on the internet now? So really, the first women, I have no clue how they found me. I mean, I had my website, but it was my website to offer my services to women, right? And just like anyway, 6 women came to my first course. I just taught 2 weekends. 7 days in total. And it just felt like if I had done this for ages. I just felt so comfortable, so relaxed, I cannot even describe it. I was like, I can do more of this, because it just felt so good. The women were so happy. And yeah, it was just a very, very beautiful experience. So I said, okay, in the summer, we see, who wants to come. I rented a house. 9 ladies came with their children at that time, with their partner. And then I decided the next year, because it became more complicated, to go online. So that was something that really frightened me because, technology and all that stuff, you remember. And so I found you on Facebook. I rarely use social media at that time. So I found you, I don't know where, I can't even tell you. I think I found you on Facebook. And then I was, I followed you a little while. And then I was like, okay, she knows about online stuff, technology. She's a doula. And for me, the most important part was that you were spiritual as well. So there were like these components where I was like, okay, she will understand me in what I want and what wants to get birthed into the world. So yeah, I offered the program as well online. It worked fantastic, and recorded a video course where I was like, Nichole, I can't do this. And you were like, okay, wait a minute. How many weeks do you have until the 31st of December? I don't remember, 3 months or something. So we calculated into little bits how many modules I had to record, like per day, per week. And so, it was easier for me. And I was like, okay, no, I can do that. And I think in the end, I recorded like crazy, like 5 or 6 lessons a day during 2 weeks. Then I had a pause for my menstruation. And then I had to wait a week before my energy came back. And then I recorded the rest. And it was always beautiful because I knew that you were there. It's just been such a blessing for me, such a great support to have you just with me, to be able to ask you questions, especially techie questions.
So funny because in a way I joke about myself, I'm not that tech savvy, and I have to ask my husband to help me figure out the chargers, or like, where do I plug this? How do I plug this thing in? Why does the Wi-Fi not work on my printer? Printers are just the most confusing little gadget in the world to me. It never just works for me. And I can figure out like putting a digital class on Thinkific and how to record it and how to do that. All of that I can do. But when it comes to like simple things, charging my phone on the right charger, I feel like I'm 3 years old. I have to ask my son. I ask my son stuff sometimes. I'm like, okay, Ethan, I need you to show me how to do this thing with the remote control. And he knows, and you recorded that whole series of classes so fast. And I have worked with a lot of people who have their goal is to make courses, right? I mean, there were a couple hundred people who took course creation for doulas. You took it way back in the very beginning. I will say, like, you created and birthed your whole digital course for training doulas faster than I ever saw anybody. And you like rode your cycle waves too.
Yes, absolutely. And if I'm honest, I don't even know if I watched your course until the end. It was just, I knew, okay, these topics, and some days I felt more about talking about this course, this topic, and the other day about something else. And I am fast. I'm very fast in manifesting, in creating. If the energy is flowing, I'm very fast.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Your generator energy.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. And I had no idea about human design at that time. It was just, okay, I feel I have to do this because the energy is just perfect. And we were living in this beautiful apartment. So I had this beautiful, I had space and everything. It was just a nice location before leaving Germany to, just to have this course. And now what I do is everybody who buys a course or does a training with me, live, I have one live course once a year, or live online, gets the video course as a bonus, as a gift. So it's like, I really use it a lot and it relaxes me a lot, because if I don't talk about every detail, in the live sessions, because I give people the space, or I want to give people the space to share their stories as well, because we always learn from each other, we heal with each other, then I know that they can still have a look at the video recordings, so it really relaxes me, because I'm very, a little bit perfectionist sometimes. So there's this feeling I want them to have all of it, and if I don't have the time, as I said, well, then they can have a look at the video, they have an audio, they have PDFs. So it relaxes me and it's awesome.
It's such a good asset to have in the business.
Yeah.
And at this point, so you have Deu Doulas is your baby. Deu Doulas is your brand. And the container, the house in which all of your doulas who you have trained are underneath. And at this point, between private trainings and your group trainings and your online trainings, how many doulas have you now taken through Deu Doulas?
We are about 130 now.
Amazing.
Yeah, we are now in the 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. It's the 5th year, let's say. Mm-hmm. Last year I trained 75 women, the year before 30 something. So yes, my goal is as well to have these different kinds of possibilities, right? So with the video course, we have live calls on Zoom regularly as well for them to exchange. So this course is wonderful for mothers, right, who cannot be somewhere a whole week or a whole weekend. They can just watch the videos whenever they have time to do so, or women who are wherever, in whichever time zone. Mm-hmm. So I didn't think about these possibilities, but I have somebody in the US, for example, who is there right now, Dubai, wherever they are, and if they have different time zones, they are a lot more flexible to watch the videos when they are fresh, when they can really listen and integrate what I'm sharing.
Yeah. And, so you were talking about how in the early days of being a doula and you had people who were fine, you were not online in 2007, right? In 2008, like you weren't very visible, but people were finding you. And when you started to train doulas, people were finding you. And even though you weren't necessarily online with a huge marketing effort, but it's such an embodied example of you do so much of the energy work, the stuff that is really hard sometimes to explain, right? So when it comes to marketing, yes, it's helpful to have a podcast. It's helpful to have an Instagram. It's helpful to have a Facebook. Sometimes I look at my Facebook and I'm like, it's crickets, nothing's happening. But here, one of my favorite people in the world in Germany found me on Facebook. But none of it is like required. And I feel like so many business owners put all this pressure on themselves to push and have a social media presence. And it's helpful, but you're such a great example of like, it's helpful, but it's also not required for success.
Absolutely, absolutely. And if it would be required, I would rather have less success than to be a slave of social media. I'm very honest. When I share something, when I write a post, I write it because I feel it and because I want to be felt. 2.5 years ago, when I created my website, I remember a lot of your information, your help, how to build, how to, navigate the reader through my website. That was super helpful. That was like 2 years ago in December, November. I created my own website, right? According to your guideline. But I wanted to be, I wanted the women to feel me. Right now, I have a specialist, a designer, a web designer this time, because my energy has shifted so much. I mean, we have shifted together just so brutally. I mean, I love to see what you're birthing all the time and the changes that you are doing. So we were like pretty much in tune with all these intense shifts. And yeah, so my website has had to change as well, is changing right now. And yes, I think it's really, as you're teaching, it's this energy work. And I love it. It's because you can be present. It's important to be present, to be able for your clients to find you. And I have the example, even if you don't have the fancy thing going on, people will find you. Right. Yeah, totally right.
And you put the intention, your intention is very potent. You put the intention, even if it was one block on your website about doula trainings, your intention is more potent than any fancy, flashy branding and graphics. And like, none of that really matters if your intention isn't, like one of these mentors I've heard recently calls this like squeaky clean energy. And when you do things with your intention, like you do it very squeaky clean and it is potent. And that little block, very potent. You have this really beautiful way of, it's not just in your business, like where you bring clients in, but also when you bring in service providers, when you have intention to find a service provider, like you are so magical. I've been enjoying witnessing this for the last few years. If you need somebody to help you with your podcast, right? Because you're like, how do I do this? If you needed some support with the music, when you have this ability to like, you put this intention out there, these people appear, and they don't just appear. These are like the person to do this job for you. And it's like the perfect match. And it's such a gift. And I love like watching you do that, service providers and clients and just everything that you're bringing into your brand, into your company, because your brand is a movement.
Yeah, it's a movement. It's a movement of empowering women. Yeah, to find their path, their own path, and being a doula is just, let's say, one form. Before being a doula, I'm a woman, right? I'm a human being, and every single person has a specific plan and a specific gifts. So actually, that's what I really love, to meet people and to find out what their medicine is that they want to bring into the world, in this world of pregnancy and life and creativity and masculine and feminine, and coming all together in this magic of life itself, right? There are so many women. I mean, I'm just talking to, I don't know how many women every week who want to do the training, or who really want to, stand up because they just feel it in their heart that they want to support women during that time. And it's not just birthing afterwards. There are some doulas that even, support women not birthing babies, but projects, or even, during death processes. It's, we are supporting women in transitions, right?
And your podcast and your being, you activate.
Yes, my superpower is my voice. So I was very brave to start my podcast like a year and a half ago almost. So I sit in front of the microphone just as you do and just talk about different topics. And I have interviews with some of my Deu Doulas as well, who just want to share, their story, their birth story, because it just supports, it just helps so much to hear that it's possible. I mean, I had a long journey. It was a long journey. I've been in this business in this industry for many years. I've seen a lot, and it's been hard. It's been really tough. It's not, you're not successful so fast. It's been a long journey, a lot of personal development, many tears, a separation, new marriage, a lot of things that happened in my life. So all these experiences, right, have helped me, prepared me more to hold the space for all these incredible women that come into my world.
The impact of 130 doulas, plus all of the births that you've been in all these years, the impact of each of this, like, really, that excites me.
Yes. And through the podcast, I have no idea who listens, right? Who feels, who listens, who gets touched, who gets inspired to stand up and just live their life. I have no idea. And that's okay too. I'm just here. I'm just an instrument. I just talk. I just share the love for people, for birth, for having this human experience on this planet.
Yeah. And it's been such a gift to know you and to witness your magic. Like, I think one of the things that came up recently for me was that a lot of the old ways that people were doing business was very like self, all about me, right?
Mm.
And you and a lot of other people I've worked with it's not that. Like, I get as much joy from working together as I hope my clients do. And it feels very much like, this symbiotic experience of joy. And I think that's how it's supposed to be,
Absolutely. And it's been interesting for me as well. It has taken some time. When I work with other people, I have all these beautiful people that support me with different things. And I like to keep the balance, right? To have an energetic balance. So sometimes I'm like, okay, I think I don't pay. Maybe I could pay more, maybe it's not enough that they want. So I'm entering in this thing of, okay, maybe you should ask more of me. But I have noticed that it's absolutely enough, that my energy is, you cannot pay. They just enjoy so much, and it just really like kicks their businesses so much to be in my space that, now I can accept.
I guess piece of advice for entrepreneurs who are struggling with, don't know if it's going to work, don't know if I'm doing the right thing. I feel like you can speak on that so well.
Yes, absolutely. I want to tell you, dear listener, that you are absolutely unique on this planet. There is nobody like you. Maybe you have heard that like a couple of times and you don't really believe it, but I can tell you there is nobody else. My daughter has this beautiful t-shirt right now, and it says, "Fear is short, regret is forever." So that's our mantra right now. And I'm sharing this little phrase with you because, if you don't do it, somebody else will do it different. Nobody's going to do it just the way that you do it. Okay, so find what feels easy for you, what brings you joy, and be creative and just do it. I mean, you have the no guarantee, but if you don't ask, you will never know. You will never know what might have been possible in your life. And there are so many women out there waiting just for your energy. It doesn't matter how many diplomas and papers you have on your walls, they are waiting for your energy and your love. So I wish you all the best. I wish you the courage. I wish you the time, the energy to begin and to keep on walking.
Thank you. That was so amazing.
Thank you so much.
Can I say how smart your daughter is? Like, what a t-shirt for a teenage girl. Obviously, she's
Oh,
a child.
yes. I don't know if she even noticed what was written on the t-shirt when she bought it. I don't know, but it's like, when I saw that the other day, it was like, wait a minute, because she wants to go to abroad to England maybe, and she's like, oh, scared. And then we saw what was written on the t-shirt, and I was like, that's our mantra now. Regret is forever. You don't want to, we don't want to regret anything. And share your wisdom, because we always think, oh, this is, everybody knows what I know. Bullshit. Sorry. No. So talk about what excites you, what really, is your gem. Talk about it and change other people's lives.
Thank you so much. I'm going to share your Instagram and such so that people
Yes.
can, connect with you and hang out with you. I don't know how many German speaking listeners there are, but you have plenty in English as well. So, and Instagram has Google, a translate thing. So it translates. That's
Yes,
how I
and
read
there are American people as well. Oh, I have this friend, and whoever, we will never know, and it doesn't matter. It was just and it was just beautiful to share my story, and whoever, whatever will come, will come.
Thank you. It's always good to see you.
Thank you so much, Nichole. Take care, everybody. Bye.